Listen to me and listen closely. Life has a way of throwing challenges at you that make you question everything. You've had days where you felt broken, defeated, like you couldn't catch a break. But let me tell you something, you're not alone. There's a force greater than your struggles, greater than your pain. That force is God. And I want you to hear me when I say, God is good, and good is faithful. Now, I know life can get tough. I know it can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But I need you to look deep within and remember who you are. Remember that the goodness that is planted in you, that strength that keeps pushing you forward, is because you are made in the image of something divine. God's goodness isn't just something you read about. It's real, and it's all around you. His faithfulness never wavers. When the world turns its back, when people fail you, when your own confidence wavers, God's faithfulness is the anchor that keeps you grounded. You see, faith isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about standing tall in the storm. It's about showing up every day, giving your best, and knowing that no matter how dark it gets, God's goodness is still shining through. When things don't go according to plan, when you don't know what tomorrow holds, remember this: God's faithfulness is a promise. You might not see it immediately, but trust, it's coming. It's always been coming. We can talk about our goals. We can talk about what we want to achieve. But at the end of the day, you've got to understand that the path to success, to victory, to peace is paved with the goodness and faithfulness of God. That's the foundation that never cracks. That's the faith that moves mountains. So today, right here, right now, I need you to make a decision. A decision to stand in your power, to lean into that faith, to believe that no matter where you are today, God's goodness is going to carry you to where you need to be tomorrow. You are unstoppable. You are destined for greatness. Don't ever forget that. God's goodness is everlasting. Life, at its core, is filled with uncertainty. There are moments where everything seems to be going perfectly. Your health is good, relationships are strong, and your dreams feel within reach. But then, out of nowhere, the unexpected happens. Maybe it's a job loss, the death of a loved one, or a personal failure that shakes your confidence. In these moments of uncertainty and challenge, it's easy to question everything. You might even find yourself wondering if you're alone in your struggle. But here's the powerful truth. God's goodness is everlasting. No matter what life throws your way, no matter how dark the night or how deep the valley, God's goodness remains constant. We live in a world that is often unpredictable, where circumstances change in an instant. One moment everything feels stable, and the next moment it feels like the ground beneath you is crumbling. It's easy in those moments to feel as though you're on your own. Yet this is where we must choose to remind ourselves of the deeper truth. God is always good, and His goodness never falters. His goodness isn't dependent on your situation, your past, or even your current struggles. It's not something that shifts with the winds of change or fades when life gets tough. God's goodness is eternal. It stands firm when everything else feels like it's falling apart. Even in the face of your doubts, even when your heart feels heavy and your mind is clouded with confusion, God's goodness is unwavering. When you're standing at the crossroads of life, not knowing which way to turn, God's goodness is the guiding light that leads you forward. When you feel like giving up, like the weight of the world is just too much to carry, His presence remains constant, offering strength when you feel weak. In those moments when everything feels uncertain, God's goodness is a rock, a steady, unshakable foundation on which you can stand. Think of the many times throughout history and in your own life where you've seen God's goodness in action. Maybe it's in the quiet moments where you find peace amid chaos, or in the unexpected support from a friend when you felt alone. Maybe it's in the moments of answered prayers that you never expected, or the sense of calm that sweeps over you when you surrender your worries to Him. Those are the moments that remind us of His everlasting goodness. And yet it's in the midst of the hardest trials that His goodness shines the brightest. It's easy to see God's goodness in the good times, but can you see it in the struggles too? Can you trust that He is working on your behalf even when you can't see the whole picture? This is where faith comes in, the ability to believe that no matter what, God's goodness will prevail. Remember, His presence never leaves you. Even when you can't feel Him, even when you can't hear Him, He is there, always working behind the scenes for your good. The Apostle Paul said it best in Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. This is the promise we hold on to. God is good, and He is always working for your good. He is guiding you with purpose, even through the trials and the storms of life. There will be times when you will question, why is this happening? And in those moments, it's okay to ask. It's okay to feel pain. But never forget that God's goodness is everlasting. His promises are true, and He is always present, holding you up when you can't stand on your own. So no matter where you are in your journey, whether you're on the mountaintop or in the valley, God's goodness remains constant. When you can't see the way forward, trust that His goodness will lead you through. His love and faithfulness never fail, and in that you can find peace, strength, and the assurance that you are never alone. Faith is the anchor. In the midst of life's storms, when everything feels like it's swirling around you, it can feel as if you're going to be swept away. We all face moments of struggle. There are seasons when the challenges seem overwhelming, when the obstacles are too big, and when the weight of the world feels unbearable. In those times, it's natural to search for something, anything that will help us stay grounded, help us hold on, and that is where faith comes in. Faith is the anchor that holds us steady when life's waves are crashing all around us. It's the foundation that allows us to stand firm in the midst of uncertainty, knowing that even when we can't see the end, God's faithfulness will carry us through. Faith isn't just a passive waiting for things to get better. It's an active trust in the goodness and power of God, especially when everything seems to be falling apart. Think about an anchor for a moment. Its purpose is to keep a ship in place, even during the fiercest storms. Without an anchor, the ship would be tossed around at the mercy of the wind and the waves, never finding stability. In the same way, faith works as our anchor. It doesn't remove the storm, but it keeps us from being tossed and thrown, allowing us to remain grounded in the midst of the chaos. When life is good, it's easy to have faith. It's easy to believe that everything will work out, that we're on the right path, and that God's promises are true. But what happens when life isn't good? When things fall apart and nothing makes sense? That's when faith truly matters. It's not about waiting for the storms to disappear or hoping for the challenges to go away. Faith is about standing firm in your belief that God is with you, even in the hardest moment. Faith is the ability to trust that God's plan is greater than the struggles you face. It's believing that His promises are true no matter how bleak things may seem. In Hebrews 11, often referred to as the faith chapter, we are reminded of the men and women who, despite facing incredible challenges, stood firm in their faith. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't see the end of the story, but they knew that God was faithful, and that was enough to keep them going. Their faith wasn't based on what they could see in front of them, but on the unshakable belief that God would fulfill His promises. One of the most powerful examples of this is the story of Abraham. God promised Abraham that he would be the father of many nations, but Abraham was old and his wife Sarah was barren. Yet, despite the impossible odds, Abraham trusted God. His faith in God's promises kept him steady, even when everything around him seemed to suggest the promise was impossible. And in the end, God fulfilled his word. Abraham's faith anchored him through years of waiting and uncertainty. And it's a reminder that faith isn't about seeing the outcome, it's about trusting in the one who holds the future. This is the kind of faith that we are called to have. Faith isn't the absence of fear or doubt. It's not about pretending that everything is okay when it's not. Faith is about acknowledging the struggle, the pain, and the fear, and still choosing to believe that God is good, that He is faithful, and that He will carry you through. Faith is what allows you to take the next step, even when you don't know where the path leads. It's what gives you the strength to keep going when you feel like giving up. Faith also provides peace in the middle of the storm, when you know that God is in control, when you trust that He has a purpose in everything. There's a deep peace that settles in your heart. You no longer need to worry about what might happen because you know that God will handle what you cannot. His faithfulness is the assurance that no matter what comes, He will provide, He will guide, and He will sustain you. So, in those moments of struggle, when everything around you is shaking, remember that faith is your anchor. It's not about avoiding the storm, but about staying grounded in the truth that God is faithful. Your faith will keep you steady, hold you firm, and give you the courage to keep moving forward. Trust in His promises, even when you can't see the way forward. And know that His faithfulness will carry you through no matter what. You are destined for greatness. You may have moments when you feel like you're just one person in a vast, uncertain world, wondering if you have what it takes to make a difference. There are times when the road ahead seems unclear and doubts creep in, questioning whether you're capable of achieving the dreams that lie deep within your heart. But hear me when I say, you are destined for greatness. This isn't just a motivational phrase, this is a truth that runs through the fabric of your being. It doesn't matter where you've been or where you are now, what matters is where you are going. You are here for a purpose, and your journey is not one you walk alone. With God's goodness and faithfulness as your foundation, there is nothing that can stop you from achieving everything you are meant to accomplish. In life, it's easy to feel small, insignificant, and overwhelmed by the challenges that come your way. The noise of the world can make it feel like your dreams are too big, your efforts are too small, and your purpose is too far out of reach. But I need you to shift your perspective. What you may see as obstacles are simply stepping stones that lead you closer to the greatness you were made for. Greatness is not about perfection, it's about perseverance. It's about trusting the process and knowing that every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your ultimate calling. God has designed you with immense potential. The dreams you carry in your heart were placed there by Him. The talents you possess, the passion that fuels your every day, the drive that pushes you forward, these are all gifts from a higher source. You were created with purpose, and that purpose is greater than you could ever imagine. But it's going to require faith, it's going to require courage, and it's going to require the willingness to keep moving forward, even when the journey feels tough. This is where God's goodness and faithfulness come in. You are not walking this path alone. When the road gets rough, when you want to give up, remember that God is with you every step of the way. His faithfulness is your assurance that no matter what challenges arise, He will carry you through. He's not only with you in the easy times. Greatness doesn't always look like what you think it should. It's not just about fame, fortune, or accolades. True greatness is about living out your purpose with passion, serving others with love, and being the person God has called you to be. When you live in alignment with your purpose and trust that God has equipped you with everything you need, you begin to tap into a greatness that goes beyond what you could ever achieve on your own. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let the doubts of others or the limitations you place on yourself stop you from stepping into the greatness that's waiting for you. You are more than capable of achieving your dreams. It's not about being the most talented, the most connected, or the most experienced. It's about the determination to keep moving forward even when things get hard. It's about trusting that God will provide, guide, and open doors that you never even imagined were possible. But greatness doesn't just come from hard work and perseverance alone. It comes from knowing that God has a plan for your life, and that plan is filled with good things. You may face setbacks, you may experience failures, but with God's faithfulness as your foundation, every setback is simply a lesson. Every failure is a stepping stone to something greater. You were never meant to live a life of mediocrity. You were meant for impact. You were meant to leave your mark on this world, to serve others, to inspire change, and to fulfill the dreams that are placed in your heart. So I encourage you today, take a step forward in faith. Trust that God has already equipped you for the journey. Keep your eyes fixed on the path ahead, and never forget that you are destined for greatness. With every challenge, you grow stronger. With every trial, you are being shaped into the person you are meant to be. And with God's goodness and faithfulness as your foundation, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that can stop you from achieving all that you were created to do. Believe in yourself. Trust in the process. Keep moving forward with confidence. You are destined for greatness, and your best days are ahead of you.